Welcome to Tales on Trails, where every story is a journey. Today's story, The Lion and the Mouse. Deep in the heart of the African savanna, where the golden grass swayed in the warm breeze and acacia tree dotted the landscape, there lived a mighty lion. He was the king of all animals, powerful, fierce, and respected by everyone. His roar could be heard for miles, and all the creatures of the savannah knew how to stay out of his way. But this is not a story about the lion's strength. This is a story about kindness and how even the smallest act of mercy can change everything. One lazy afternoon, after a large meal, the great lion lay down under the shade of a large tree. The sun was high in the sky, and a gentle breeze rustled through the leaves. The lion yawned, showing his enormous teeth, then closed his eyes and drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep. His magnificent mane rose and fell with each breath, and his powerful paws twitched slightly as he dreamed. All was quiet and calm in this corner of the savannah. Meanwhile, a tiny mouse was scurrying through the tall grass, searching for seeds and crumbs to eat. She was so focused on finding food that she didn't notice where she was going. Suddenly, she ran right across the lion's huge paw. The moment her tiny feet touched his fur, the lion's eyes snapped open. With lightning speed, his massive paw came down, trapping the little mouse beneath it. The mouse squeaked in terror, her heart pounding like a drum. "Please, oh please, great king of the savannah," the mouse cried out in her tiny, trembling voice. "I'm so sorry I disturbed your sleep. I didn't mean to run across your paw. It was an accident. Please don't eat me. I'm just a tiny mouse, barely a mouthful for someone as mighty as you. If you spare my life, I promise I'll repay your kindness someday. I will help you when you need it most." Her little eyes were wide with fear, and tears rolled down her whiskers. The lion looked down at the tiny, trembling creature beneath his paw. At first he thought about having her as a small snack. But then something unexpected happened. He began to laugh. "Ha ha ha! You help me?" His deep laughter rumbled like thunder. "How could a tiny creature like you ever help the mighty king of the savannah? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard." But despite his amusement, the lion felt something stirring in his heart. Compassion. "You know what, little mouse? You've made me laugh, and you're right. You're barely a bite. Go on, I'll spare you. Run along and be free." The lion lifted his enormous paw, and the mouse scampered free. She stopped a safe distance away and looked back at the great lion with tears of gratitude in her eyes. Thank you, noble lion. You have shown me great mercy today. I will never forget your kindness, and I promise, someday, somehow, I will repay you." The lion chuckled and waved his paw dismissively. "Just be more careful where you run, little one." The mouse bowed respectfully and disappeared into the tall grass, her heart full of gratitude and determination. Several weeks passed, and life continued as normal in the savannah. But one fateful day, disaster struck. The mighty lion was walking through the forest when suddenly, whoosh, a huge net dropped from the trees above. He was caught in a hunter's trap. The thick ropes wrapped around his body, binding his legs and mane. The lion roared with all his might, struggling and thrashing, trying to break free. But the more he fought, the tighter the ropes became. His powerful roars echoed through the forest, filled with frustration and fear. The great king was completely helpless. Far away, in a tiny burrow beneath an old tree root, the little mouse heard the lion's desperate roars. Her ears perked up immediately. "That's the lion, the one who spared my life," she gasped. Without a moment's hesitation, She darted out of her home and raced through the grass and underbrush as fast as her tiny legs could carry her. "Hold on, Great Lion, I'm coming. I promised I would help you, and a promise is a promise." Her little heart pounded with determination as she ran toward the sound of his roars. The mouse arrived at the trap and saw the mighty lion tangled helplessly in the thick net. "Don't worry, lion, I'm here to help," she squeaked. The lion stopped struggling and looked down in surprise. "You? But how can you possibly?" Before he could finish, the little mouse got to work. With her sharp teeth, she began gnawing at the thick ropes. Nibble, nibble, nibble. One strand broke, and then another, and then another. She worked tirelessly, her tiny jaws moving as fast as they could. Slowly but surely, the net began to loosen. Finally, with one last bite, the ropes fell away completely. The lion was free. The great lion stood up and shook his magnificent mane, hardly believing what had just happened. He looked down at the tiny mouse with wonder and newfound respect. "You saved my life, little one. You actually did it. I laughed when you said you would repay my kindness, but you kept your promise. You've taught me something very important today." The mouse smiled up at him. "What's that, Great Lion?" The lion bent down and spoke gently. "I learned that no act of kindness is ever wasted, no matter how small. And I learned that true strength isn't just about size and power. Sometimes the smallest creatures have the biggest hearts. Thank you, my friend." From that day forward, the lion and the mouse became best of friends. And the lion never forgot the lesson. Kindness is never wasted, and everyone has something valuable to offer, no matter how small they may seem. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more tales every week. See you in the next trail.